mode into your React app. In this tutorial, we'll be doing just that. We're going to be adding a dark mode to our to-do list. Let's take a look at the components. In our app, we have a to-do list component. Over in our index.css, we can see we have CSS variables that store the colors for the text, the page background, the primary backgrounds, and the button hover border. And then over here, they're being consumed by the body, the button on hover, the input, and the to-do item. So we could see in the body, the text color, the background color uses this color, and the button, same text color, but it has the primary button color, which is the white, and the button hover. When you hover over a button, you can see the blue, that's what it's using. The input has the same background color as the page and also the same text color. And finally, the to-do item has the same background color as the button. We'll be switching those when we have our dark mode toggle. First thing we need to do is we need to override these colors with our dark mode theme. Let's create a dark mode style. Let's copy over this and we just change this into our dark colors. This will be white, this will be a dark gray, this will be a little bit darker gray, and we'll keep this the same. So we don't actually need that. So we're only overriding these three colors. Over into our app component, let's declare isDarkMode and we set isDarkMode. Let's set false and we use a useEffect, which runs a function whenever isDarkMode changes. We change the body to have a class of dark when it's dark mode. So it means it will use these variables instead of these variables. Now let's create the toggle. So in our return function, let's create a fragment and we put the dark mode switcher here. We pass in isDarkMode and set isDarkMode. We don't have this component yet, so we have to make one. Let's make a CSS class too. Now let's import this to fix our to-do list. In our function, let's return a label. This will have toggle switch as the class name, and in our label we'll have the input, which is going to be a checkbox. This will be checked if it's dark mode, and the onChange function is just toggling the dark mode variable. Take in the previous value and just flip it. So you can see it's already working, but we need to style it better. We'll add a span. This class name will be the slider. Now let's go over to the dark mode toggle CSS, and here's where the magic happens. So you want this toggle option to be on the top right of the page. So it's now right here. Let's change the width and height. Now we don't want this check to appear, which is why we change the inputs to have a height and width of 0. Now you can't see it, but now this is where the span will come in. We style it so it's positioned right here. We'll increase the height, make it visible by making a background color and a border radius. There we go. Now let's get the button in here. So we add in the sun in the content, put it on top of the slider, change the height and width, change the position a little bit, make the background white so it looks like a button, and we change that to be circular. We make the sun in the middle of the button. Now that looks good. However, when you press it, as dark mode, we need to make it so the button is over to the right side and it has the moon icon on it. So when the input is checked, so when it's in dark mode, then we change the slider. We make the content into the moon, replacing the sun, and we translate it to the right side. Good. So now it's changing states. Let's add a transition so you can see it move from right to left and left to right over 0.3 seconds. Amazing. If you reload the page, you could see it jumps back to white mode, even though we have dark mode enabled. We can use local storage to remember the last mode you were in before you reload the page. In our useState, we can replace the default value of false to get from our local storage, get item, Go over to the next line, is dark mode, and we check if it's the string true. And here in our useEffect, this is when we're changing is dark mode. We can set our item in local storage. So set item is dark mode, and we pass in our Boolean value. Remember, when we set an item in local storage, it will become a string. So is dark mode is a Boolean right now, but if it's in local storage, it will become a string. So let's say is dark mode is true, it'll become a string true. This is why when we're getting the item, we're comparing it with the string true. One more thing, in the app component, every time it renders, it will read from local storage. This can be a performance issue. We can fix that by making this into a initializer function. So now this will only read once. Now let's check our app. Let's put it in dark mode, reload, and it stays in dark mode. Put it to light mode, reload, and it's still in light mode. Amazing. Let's look into something much cooler, like this drag and drop feature. Click here to find out how it's done.